All right, welcome to the Black Tower. This is I'm the Sorcerer Armand Soul. Welcome to another lovely interview of Coffee with the Sorcerer for today, which is being released on your happy Hallow days, your Christmas, your Yule, your whatevers. I would like to introduce you to a dear brother and possibly one of the greatest sorcerers that I have ever had the pleasure of reading their material and just following them and getting to know them, Mr. S Ben Qayin.
I'm happy to be here. Thank you for having me on. I don't know how I could live up to your title there, but I will do my best, my friend.
It has nothing to do with living up to it. Anybody who reads your writing knows good and well that you've researched it, you've studied it, not just that, but it's something that you've actually took into your own practice. So, and it shows when you pick up any of your writings and you start working it, you can definitely tell it was a seasoned practitioner and knew what they were doing.
Right.
So, no, you well earned that years ago, brother.
Well, thank you. I appreciate your kind words.
Oh yeah. So you got this new book out, Thaumiel. Oh, how many books in that series are you gonna do with the Qliphoth?
It's funny. It's as the series started. There's 11 that are intended for this series. Now, there's a lot that has happened since the very first book came out. A publishing house was created, and a lot has been occurring. So I have not solely been focusing on that series, though I do indeed plan on getting back to it. So yeah, you can expect. I mean, as long as I'm living, right? I can put books out, put books out as I'm doing stuff, and I also plan on releasing books kind of in between. It's not just a succession where I'm going to be doing this, focusing on it. I can delve into a current for a long period of time, but this is something that's going to be a really long project. So actually, my next release that I plan on releasing is called Exodus the Vampiric Transmissions. And so that's something I'm planning on getting back to here this next year. I've had to take a break from writing. Like I said, I've been putting this amazing publishing house together from the Ashes Publishing. And it's really taken a lot of my time, but that's starting to get freed up a little bit. And I'm going to be able to get back to programs and also writing and really focusing on those projects.
Yeah. Speaking of from the Ashes Publishing, man, I am blown away at the talent that you brought into that. I mean, everything from Papa Smoke, Creasy. Help me with his name because I mess it up every time. I'm so sorry.
Guy Creasy.
Yeah, Guy
Papa
Creasy.
Shadow. Papa Shadow, yeah.
Yeah.
Amazing. Magician, sorcerer, hoodoo, really deeply ingrained within the Voodoo current. So yeah, he's an amazing magician.
Yeah, and you've got Edgar Craval working
Indeed.
with you.
Indeed.
Not working for you, working with you. You got his talent working with you.
No one works for anybody here. The thing is we are working together as a team. We have accomplished many things together as a team. We have goals, and we work together to accomplish those goals. So yeah. It's not a hierarchy of who's on top. It's a joint effort for sure.
Oh, you can definitely tell. Like I'm friends with Sorcerer and J.S. Garrett. And I've chatted with these two over and on and off throughout the last year or so. And and I've interviewed two of them. I don't know if you know that. I interviewed J.S.
Yeah.
Yeah, did you get a chance to watch those?
I did indeed. They were great. Awesome. They were great interviews.
One of the things about having the position I have, being able to run my own channel, is I can do this the way I want to do this.
Yes.
And I only put the people on here that I have respect for, that I am just in earnest awe of, that, not necessarily like, oh, you're way up here and I'm down here, not one of those, but it's just one of those of just, now this is an occult community. This, these are leaders, and, you got to have that.
There's a lot of responsibility that goes with that kind of situation. I don't really think about it every day when I go out to write or go out to create projects or whatnot. I'm not really looking to be a leader per se. It's something that I've kind of found myself in the position of. You know, and it's funny. Like you know, like when I write my books, it's kind of like, oh, you know, I'm really looking for this particular book to hold this particular kind of knowledge, and it's not there. It doesn't exist. So I find myself having to create it, thus becoming the leader. But it's not really the intention. You know, so it's really just about creating. You know, pushing the boundaries. You know, of magic and science and what we're doing here in this reality. What this reality is, what it's supposed to. Putting these people together, putting this team together of amazing magicians that, as you said, really are in touch with these currents and really making change, not only in the magical community but also in the publishing community as well. So yeah, I really wanted to bring equality to the field, and power and, you know, strength, and really wanted to uplift and change things out there. So, you know, like you only have people that, you know, you find to have integrity. The same thing goes for how I'm building the house. Those kinds of people are working with the house. And so, you know, that's the idea behind it, strength and honor. And so that's what we're kind of focusing on and working towards, you know. So it's a real positive movement that, you know, I'm fortunate. I find myself fortunate to work with these people. You know, I'm amazed at, you know, Edgar Kerbal there and Sorcerer Interview and, you know, Guy and Edgar. And, you know, it's like, there's so many people that I've known for years that I'm grateful to have them within the house and work with them. So it's an amazing opportunity for me as well.
Well, I will say this: who to the fucking raw, you know. Uh, you know, I love everything from the symbolism you use to the attitude, to the types of people that you work with. Like I said, the whole thing, you can definitely tell that it's a real thing. Uh,
Well,
like
you
in
know,
my own
it's not a business.
personal,
It's not a business. It's a movement. You
I
know, it's
know,
a movement. So
I know. In my own personal workings, for 20 years now, I've been working to rebuild the Tower of Babel. And when I say that, nobody understands that. They don't. I'm not talking about a physical building. I'm talking about inside myself.
right.
Yeah. And what you're doing, it reminds me of that exact same force, that same current, that same flow. You know,
It
taking
has.
something. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. It has true intention, you know, true intention, true intent, and the goal is honorable in my eyes, in my particular view of things, you know. And I don't think that if you have a true and honorable intention that can be stopped. So that's the idea of having this grow, and having those who are like-minded, both I guess in mind and spirit, you know, join the house and keep pushing this envelope even further.
Yeah. Well, you know, I like the way you just put that, and let's talk on that just a minute or two. Intent. You have what they call the magical intent, your
Mm,
personal intent, and then the way it manifests is, and sometimes it can be its own intent.
right.
How would you describe that kind of design in your own sorcery and just what you do? Just, you know, S Ben Qayin's magic.
There are fundamentals to the way I believe what people call magic works. One of the key fundamentals is intent. Intent, in fact, is the very first, I guess, law of magic in my particular view of things. Without intent, nothing occurs. So that intent is what creates. Before you decide to pick up the glass, you intend to do it. Intent creates movement, it creates action, it creates change. Intent is what is the most powerful. So intent with this is true. And there are those who also join in that. And because of the intent being so strong, it is actually creating this reality. So, you know, again, if the intent is true and strong, I can only see that becoming more and more empowered, growing, and really doing what I'm wanting to do. You know, and again, that's equaling the playing field for authors, offering a fair percent, coming across offering fair, true services to people that are actually going to help them. You know, and assembling a team that's able to actually pull this off. You know, it's an honor to be able to be in the position to kind of do that. I feel like I'm kind of putting the Charlie's Angels together, or the A-Team or something at times, you know, but it's it's pretty awesome to be able to do. So.
Oh yeah. You know, I don't think that a lot of people understand. Like they think that you just recently hit the scene. They don't understand. You have been doing this for a while. You know, everything from the Temple of Blood and all that. I'm sure that there was previous workings to that, you know.
Well, actually, I was never part of the Temple of Blood, but I was the head of the inner order of the Voltec for quite some time. And so that was actually the only order that I've ever been a part of. It was a good order, but then things change and people move on and expand. So that's kind of where things are here with me, and I'm happy to be able to take a lot of that knowledge and work it into my own knowledge or into my workings or my writings and my philosophies, and push that forward as well. And of course, as the Order of the Voltec came from the Temple of Set, which of course came from the Church of Satan and whatnot. So there's a lineage there that's really interesting that I'm proud of. And I kind of like to keep that going in my own way, even though there's not an official lodge yet. There is always the future. So we'll see what that holds.
Hell yeah. I know that somewhere around 12 years ago, oh, actually, excuse me, I'm doing the math wrong. About a decade ago, I I had ran across the Temple of Set, and I was going to join and was going to try to learn something, because about 4 years previous to that, I had bought some oil that the Temple of Set, their priests and priestesses, had consecrated, and it was
Right.
Asmodeus oil, and it was very powerful. I mean, as soon as I touched it, you just boom, electric, and
Right.
and it was items like that showed me that the magic that these people were practicing actually had some oomph to it, and it's a lot like when you pick up a tomb or a grimoire or a book and you start working through it. You don't think whether it's real or not, whether it'll work or not. You just do it. You go to find out for yourself whether it works, whether you connect with it.
Mhm.
Uh, and in that sense, you know, it at the time it didn't work out. The Temple of Set was not for me at that time, and it was a good thing, because
Right.
the next 8 years would prove to be testing ground. Like, I was being tested left and right. I had opened myself up to
Right.
Garmin, and there were things that had to go out of my life and everything else. And I've only in the last 2 years brought true order to my life. And I'll never forget that when me and my wife moved into this place, I had one thought, one desire, because everything had gone to hell, everything had exploded and changed. Our lives were completely rearranged. And I thought, let me finish that which I started. And
Right.
that was my desire, and that was will. And it was a conscious will, a will for design. You yourself, I'm sure you have you use your will to your ends or your goals or things like that. Would you care to emphasize on that a little?
Yeah, I mean, it's just about really going after what you want. I've created my reality completely out of nothing, essentially. Before I started writing, I, of course, had studied many, many books and was an avid practitioner. I just hadn't decided to take to the pen, and I sat in a room. No one had never heard of me in the occult world. Never written anything, but I sat in a room essentially for a year, and I wrote a book based on my experiences, based on my practices, based on my philosophies of things, connecting all the dots of all the different things that I had studied, and creating these systems. Now, anybody could do that. Anybody can sit in a room and come up with and write a book. I mean, perhaps not, but it seems to me it's not out of reach. It's something that's doable. But the idea is the intent of going back, writing it every day, not knowing if I was going to have it published, not knowing if it was going to make it, but going back, writing on it still, pushing it forward, keeping it going. And then, it's that kind of intent that created my universe. And from there, of course, you keep putting doors open, and you keep building on your foundations, and you keep going. But it's really, it's still a fight today. I mean, it's not easy being where I am, I suppose. It's a fight every day to having systems and writing books and keeping things going. And the struggle's real. It's not a cush life like a lot of people think. It takes a lot of will, takes a lot of intent. And it just kind of comes back to that ideal of what the house, From the Ashes Publishing is doing. And that really carries me a lot of the times when I'm not feeling all that. Some days, I'm kind of down. I come back to the fact that, the house is there. It's a symbol of equality. It's a symbol of freedom in my eyes, a symbol of strength, and resistance and rising up. And, that kind of carries me, knowing that I've got people in the house that feel the same way. And, it's just kind of the snowball effect. And it all started again from my one, intent on creating one thing. It's snowballed into, what is that, 2018 now, it's been a while since I've been here, so it's kind of been an amazing up and down ride, but intent is the thing that just keeps you going, one foot in front of the other, having that vision and working towards it. So
and I know I keep going on and I gushing and everything over the whole thing, but the only reason I do isn't because of some imbalance. It is because I see it for what it is. I recognize it, and I respect and honor the shit out of that. That whole, to me, it screams the rebellious spirit, the Luciferian nature of man to say, no, I am my own light, and to shine that light.
Absolutely. That's absolutely it. Yeah. Against adversity, to stand up and to exist, to be, and to push forward those ideas and agendas.
Yeah. And then, and this is something weird, like I have choices that I can make, and it might change my life, but with it comes the fear of, well, not necessarily fear, but I'm going to try to stumble my way through my words here. But the choices that I can make could ultimately take what is firm footing and turn it upside down. And I could take that chance and actually step out, and do this, do that, release this, release that. And so I can understand from your point of view of, this thing that you're trying to create, because, you got to keep a roof over your head. You got to keep food on the table. Everybody's got bills to pay, And most people, they think that magicians or sorcerers or whoever that are doing this, that they make a killing.
Right.
Make a killing?
No.
Sometimes you barely cut even on your bills.
Indeed.
And some months you might make better than others,
Yeah. It's it's always up and down. So
go ahead. I'm sorry, brother.
No, just say it's it's an interesting profession to be in. It's definitely not for everyone. It's a lot of hard work that goes into it. So, everybody thinks again, like we're rolling in dough, and it's not the case generally. So, it's really not the idea of the whole thing. It's not to get rich. It's not to make money. The reason for this is, the idea you talk about the house and what's behind it. It's not, oh, we're here to, make cash. It's here. We're here for the authors. We're here for the public. We're here to exist, to help make the playing field a lot more even than what it has been here in the past, And so, yes, we need to make, it's not just me, but the others that are involved with the house. Yeah, we need to, you need to eat and pay our bills. But, that again, that's kind of secondary almost to the ideal of the house, and that comes as a side effect, the funds come to help us as a side effect of keeping our goal true and pushing that forward, So it's been, like I said, a really fun, exciting and fulfilling ride so far. And this next year, it's like we're even bigger now. We've been open a year now. So we're celebrating our year anniversary is essentially right now. And next year, we've already got 2 more books coming out, plus, some Sorcerer Interview, Edgar Kerble. We'll see if my book can drop as well, and, there's also some other possible authors that we might be talking to here in the near future as well. So you never know what this thing is, and then the year after that, expand even more, So it's just laying down the foundations, keeping it going, keeping a good team together, keeping the vision true, and just keeping that rolling the way it is.
I was about to say, I'm glad you were bringing up all the different things, because that's something I wanted to touch in on. I mean, you guys have everything from righteous return to sender type spell working. You have curses. You have love spells. I mean, oh my goodness! And I mean, you could just go on, and everybody might be like, oh yeah, that's just the typical blah blah blah. But you guys actually also do specialized services.
Right. There's a lot, that's offered through the house. Each magician really has their own kind of specialty in how they do things. There's women, there's men, and so it's like really kind of custom tuned to what the client is looking for and who they're looking to, kind of relate to. Sometimes one person might offer a rite and the other might offer a similar rite, but you kind of feel drawn towards one person. That kind of gives that customization. Or offers that customization, to people so that they can really get what they're looking for out of the experience of it. So I mean, there's everything from love to curses available. Curses aren't really the biggest thing out there, but I don't really like too much to dwell in that area, but it is there. I do have a special right now that deals with Jinn, actually. As well, but to balance that out, I also have an astral rebalancing, very light working, in my opinion. So again, it kind of spans the spectrum of things, not only in services but as well as practitioners. So there's a lot for everybody out there.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say, I wasn't trying to like focus in on the cursing aspect, because sometimes things of that nature, they're actually used for defense, not necessarily.
Oh, yeah.
So.
Oh yeah, it's not. It's funny. A lot of people look at that and they think, "Oh wow, that's really really awful." There's a lot that goes into that. I talk with each client in depthly about what their situation is, why they want to go ahead and do this. A lot of them, choose a lot of other paths that are available to them, not necessarily that. And so it's only under real extreme cases that I will accept offers or business in that regard, or cases in that regard. I'm not curse happy. It's something that I don't do very often. So generally people come in cursing, but they leave wanting something else or getting something else. Once they really look at things, it's the thing with curses is that it anchors people into the past. And it's funny because they want to move forward, but it's like by doing a curse, you're dealing with something in the past, you're anchoring yourself in the past, you're focusing on the past. And a lot of times they really just want to move forward, but in order to do that, they have to let go of the past. They can either choose to do that and let it go on their own, or sometimes, as I've talked about or written about, there does have to be a rite done as almost a final completion. Sometimes you're like, hey, you know what? I'm not going to be able to get this. I'm not going to get past this. I need to do this one last rite. Let it go after that point. So it's almost like an act of completion for them to be able to move on in their life. So it is beneficial in a lot of different ways. It isn't really just as painful as it first appears. So there's a lot that goes into, and that's with every working though. There's so much that's involved with each individual case. So
yeah. Well, that astral balancing right that you offer, most people aren't aware of this. But sometimes the most powerful spell is the one that centers, balances, and reconnects you and protects you and surrounds you and fills you from within. And that's what that rite reminds me of. Would you please explain that rite? Because I like what I've read on it.
That is actually really amazing. I hadn't intended to release it to the public, actually. I had a client come to me and specifically ask me to help him in a certain way here. And so this is something that I had done on my own quite some time ago. And it was just, kind of in my toolbox. And I said, yeah, sure, I can do this. It's been a while, but, I can do this. And I did it all for him, just like you see in the pictures or whatever was online there. Laid everything out. And see, I lay everybody's outline out in salt. Salt carries a lot of energy. So I see that, and I actually visually, like holographically see that person laying in front of me. When I do a tarot reading for them, I find that there's certain things like there'll be a communication breakdown, and I'll find that there's a blockage astrally or energetically in the throat area, which has to be moved through. So it's like there's a lot that's attached to social situations that are astrally, connected to us energetically. So if we can get this energy flowing and these blockages out, your social life or your material life actually improves quite a bit in a lot of different ways. He had actually enjoyed the service and benefited from the service so much that he's going to the doctor, had kind of needed surgery, and now he's saying that that there is no need for that, and he's getting the right done every single month and getting amazing results. Other people have been doing this. It's kind of caught on fire, and everybody's just raving about how they're feeling so much better after this has been done. So, it's kind of funny because, again, it wasn't something that I had thought, oh, I'm going to release this. It was something I had done. And then he's like, please offer this to people, so I started offering it, and then it just kind of took off from there. But I enjoy it because it's a lot of energy work. It's really, I do it in the morning. It's really, a light working. It really benefits people. And again, that's something that I enjoy doing, is helping people out, and so this gets everybody in line energetically. They feel a lot better. Things work out for them better. What more could you ask for? So I got it on special right now at 50% off. So, it's a great time to take advantage of that right now.
You have so many of your offers. You and a lot of your members have like different deals. I've been sharing that like crazy on Facebook because I'm like, these are affordable. These are things you can start getting to and everything else. Plus, I understand now. The Sorcerer came offering actual student positions. If I got this right, what? How did you word that?
Oh yeah, well, it's what I call the Apprenticeship Program.
Yeah.
I can only take 3 students at a time due to my schedule, so it's not like it's open to everybody. Once it's full, I have to shut it down. I do have 1 position open right now, so we'll see if that's being filled, although there are some people that are potentially taking that. So, yeah, when it comes up, it's something that you want to jump on, because if they don't last, it's kind of like this. It's a very relaxed environment. I don't have a real structured way of teaching. We talk in a very, again, relaxed environment where I go over philosophies, technique, anything that you want to discuss. We're talking about everything's on the table. All my secrets, how I go through packs, evocations, all the techniques, how you lay out a circle, triangle, how you do all the evocations, different groups of spirits, how to work with the different groups of spirits. Essentially, it's kind of like if someone's beginning on in a course of magic, this gives you the roadmap to what you need. When you're done with this course, you're going to be able to lay out your triangle, circle, know how to do what you're doing, understand the philosophies behind it, be able to successfully do an evocation. And this is not only helpful for beginners, but also adepts as well. There's a lot of times where, it's great just to get a refresher course or to learn new techniques and how to do things. And that's something that I offer. So, it's something that people again have asked me for, that I'm glad to be able to provide. It's the way it's done is I meet once a week for 2 hours. We talk video chat like this, go over everything you want to go over, talk about different things, have different practices we work on. We do this once for 4 weeks. It's like for a month long. We meet every 2 hours a week. So it's a long course, but by the end of it, you're pretty solid in the understanding of magic and how to really apply that to your life and get results.
Man, that is awesome, because when you see someone like yourself who offers all these services and stuff, well, if you're reading your books and things, and then you go to try to tap into it and you try to work it, a lot of the times you realize that the author has a particular way in which they do things, or a style or method. And not that we as practitioners can't create our own, but like in the guise of you sharing, lessons and stuff like that under the apprenticeship program, that's perfect. And it also reminds me of kind of like mixing offers. Like, for example, you're offering for astral balance, mix that with J.S. Garrett's rite of deification. Do yours first, so that things in alignment, so that when he calls, it's more powerful, more effective.
Right.
Do you guys offer those kind of deals where you can kind of like mix and match the offers?
You know, anybody who comes to us and wants to figure something out or has an idea like that is more than welcome. We will definitely put together a package and work with you. You know, we often offer payment plans for things as well. So, you know, the idea also, again, you know, this is for the public, offering quality, you know, services by quality magicians. And we keep our prices low. You know, that's the idea, is making this accessible. It does take a lot of energy and planning and expertise that goes into what we do, you know. So, you know, the prices are what they are, but they're definitely a lot cheaper than a lot of other places that you would find them at. You know, and again, that's really to really connect with the public, really connect with everybody out there, and really get everybody involved, and have them feel, you know, when they look at something that, you know, $2 million, they'll never be able to, you know, even touch that. So what we're trying to do is make that, we're changing that. We're making that accessible for people to be able to actually incorporate this within their lives, be active, get that change that they want, get the professionals that they want at a reasonable price. You know, and so it's, again, just something that From the Ashes Publishing is trying to do to make things a lot easier for people out there.
Well, see, I went to noticing that the prices were coming down, and then I started noticing, you know, certain things with it.
Mm-hmm.
And with what you just said, I love that. I love how you're making it to where just the average person, you know, can, you know, get the same help as somebody who says has a lot of money. It's like, for example, I would love to afford to be able to get money right done. Here's the problem: you got to have money to make money. So,
Right.
and I always laugh about that.
You know, though, I mean, there's even services like, you know, I've got what I do monthly, the Blazing Circle, which is, you know, $19.97. You can't beat that. You know, it's the general overall watch over us, bless us, kind of a right. Again, that was something that I did every month personally, and then I decided to offer to the public. You know, and again, there's a lot of benefit that's been gotten from that. So it's, again, you know, the prices really range is pretty much something for everybody out there. You know, we've also got consultations and tarot readings, and you can access each and every one of us. We're all out there, just an email or message away. So
I love how down to earth every single one of you are. When it's like when I message you, you come across like a person. Sit here and talk with you, you come across like a person. You know, I might be going on and on about the Sorcerer Cain, you know, and that's just excitement on my behalf. But the truth of the matter is, you know, it's kind of like what you told me. I'm just like you. I'm just a person.
Just a person, put my pants on every day. You know, that's the idea. You know, I keep it real. I don't like ego. Ego is not something that is a friend of mine. So, you know, all of my studies, you know, come from a lot of the Don Juan Carlos Castaneda, and I had spoken to you a little earlier and said, you know, a sorcerer never takes himself too seriously. You know, and that's where it's at. You know, I don't have an ego. It destroys. I've seen ego destroy. It's something that's awful, actually. So, you know, if you're able to be in a position where, like myself, where you're able to spread the knowledge and help people out, keep it real. You know, so very approachable, yes, very, very real person. Yeah, I don't put myself on a pedestal by any means.
Yeah, on my channel here, you don't know this, but I always say, leave your ego at the door.
Right, exactly.
On my channel. And the reason why is because ego is good for defense. Your shadow is always perfect for defense. But when it comes to
go ahead. Right, no, forgive me.
But when it comes across as presenting yourself, you need to have a healthy amount of ego, but you kind of need to leave it at the door, like I said, and just be a person.
To me, there's two different kinds of ego. You know, there's ego, and ego is very healthy, and it's very good to have, to say, I'm good at this. And if you're better than other people at this, and that's a fact, then it's okay to say that, because it's a fact. And it's, you know, there's nothing wrong with being good at something or having talent in something. It's very healthy to be able to acknowledge that. It's when you flaunt it over other people and use it in an abusive way. That's what I consider, you're a fool. You know, you by no means are you a master of anything if you still have that kind of complex. And so, you know, I don't find any value from it whatsoever. I prefer to connect with everybody and to be a person with everybody and share knowledge and work together as a team, rather than be myself in my ivory egotistical tower.
Right? You know, I love the way you put that, and I really wish that over the last year or so, since I've been doing these videos, I wish I could have worded it like that. But you said it best, brother. You know, I like that. One thing, one thing I would like to discuss, because we're going to try and keep the video kind of short. Want to talk about willpower
Mhm.
and will itself, like, you know, like your true will versus your guided will, and then willpower, which is developed.
Okay.
Uh, okay, so let's start with true will. Do you
Okay.
believe in true will, or do you think that that is something that is created?
What is your definition of that?
Okay, well, true will is like, for example, it's kind of like an encoded direction saying that in this lifetime, the soul will undergo such and such for evolution.
Fate, in other words.
Exactly.
Gotcha. Okay. So what you're asking essentially is, do we have free choice or free will, or are we predestined?
Yeah, your opinion or thoughts on it.
Gotcha. Um, a bit of both, to be honest with you. And this kind of taps into working with tarot, because when you're working with tarot, you're working with timelines. And the way I see things is very much like a sheet of music, or a bar of music, if you will, where it has different bars. And we are on one of the bars right now. We're on a path, and there'll be choices that occur to us, that happen to us, and we can either go up a bar onto another level, or we can go down a bar. And of course, correlating to higher energy or lower energy, good experiences, bad experiences, depending on these choices that we freely make. Now, it's a bit of a like, this is kind of how I see it. Now, all of my ideas and philosophies can be completely wrong. I don't claim to be that they're 100%. You know, this is the way it truly is. This is just how I've seen the universe and how I've seen it work. You know, I share that knowledge. If it works for you, great. If not, you know, keep looking. But it's like a choose your own adventure, if you will, where you can make all kinds of different choices within the book. But in the end, really, you're going to only end up in a few different places, if not only one, if that's what the true intent is, you see. So you can make a lot of different choices along the way. You can go up and down in free will. However, there are what I consider fixed places or fixed points of a lesson. And this could be a positive lesson, it can be a negative lesson, but overall, at the end of things, it's all a positive lesson, because we're gaining experience and knowledge, and that's only positive. But we could be up here and hit this, or we could be down here and hit this. At one point, though, you know, you're going to experience this. This kind of comes up in cards sometimes, and I can see that people, or whatever they're going through, it's not by choice or whatever, that this is actually fated. That fate has a hand in this, and that they're experiencing this for a particular reason. Now, we can look at why that is. There's been a lot of philosophies as far as, you know, what happens before we are born. I happen to believe that we kind of plan out our lives to some degree. As an example, in this life, I will learn such and such. In the next life, I will learn such and such. I will learn such and such and such and such and such and such. It's kind of like a wheel, as I see it, with spokes. Every time we, if you will, die or pass from this being into another being, or go back to our higher, what people call our higher self or higher guardian angel, holds all of that knowledge, all of that experience. That is our collective consciousness, our true self. We don't have access to that all the time here, because we're not supposed to. We're supposed to experience certain things until all of that has come together, and we come together as one being, what they consider light beings. And then I'm not sure what happens, you know. But I will say that in this life, I believe fully that there are two things that you have to focus on, or need to focus on, that are the only things that are important over everything else. And that's to love as much as you can and learn as much as you can. Freedom is key in all of those things. So, you know, that's one of the reasons why I break down religious dogma. It holds people back. It makes people, it's abusive to people. Oh, I'm not good enough, or I shouldn't ask questions, or I can't do this or that, or I'm a bad person, because, I like, it's breaking all that down and being able to seek this knowledge freely, without restraint, spiritually or physically. So those are those are the kind of the qualities I'm looking at to kind of answer your question. So I believe, I believe in both. I believe in order and chaos. I believe in free will and predestiny. So it's kind of a paradox, if you will.
It definitely destroys the spirit of the individual. It definitely does do that. I know it wasn't intended to do that, but that's what happened. It is a cause and effect.
Right.
I appreciate you taking time to answer that question, because when I asked it, I realized real quick, it's kind of loaded. That was not my intention, but it is one of those that can go either way. But thank you so much for actually, giving your input, your thoughts on that, because that's all I really wanted. Now that was true. That is the version of true will and all that, and it somewhat went into willpower. The will, the strength, to drive and keep going.
Right.
Which has been pretty much this entire video is about the will itself. To overcome. And I like the fact that, and I don't know if this is intentional on your behalf, but I noticed that everything that you offer and everything that you do and everything you work on, it appears to me to be all about the developing of will, willpower, of strengthening the mind, of letting go of things that hold you back.
The strengthening of the self, and again, embracing that true essence and current of energy or of freedom. Freedom. I see us all as seekers. We are all brothers. We're all seekers, brothers, sisters, seekers of truth. I am a traveler, and so I'm seeking where I am. I'm seeking what this reality consists of, and how to manipulate it, and how to. I'm learning. I'm trying to figure out who I am and where I am, and I see other beings around me doing the same thing. I don't even see as gods. I don't call things gods. I don't believe in gods any more than, again, if I say don't put me on a pedestal, I can't imagine a god wanting to do anything to do the same. I see all beings as being equal. You might be able to do other things that I cannot do, or I might be able to do things that you cannot do. That doesn't mean that either one of us are more important than the other. We exist, and we have an equal right to exist in this, wherever we are, reality. And so we seek to be free. We seek to learn. We seek to love. And so breaking down, essentially, that's where it comes down to, and breaking down all these barriers, all these dogmas, to get to that point is really hard. Our society is built up completely opposite of that. So it's definitely a struggle, but it's kind of it's the embracing the will or the freedom of being able to seek without restraint of any kind.
Thank you for sharing that just that wisdom in general, because a lot of the times when I'm doing these videos and some of the secrets and some of the techniques and all this other stuff, that's icing on the cake. The truth behind it is the wisdom and the knowledge and the understanding gained from things.
Right.
And the wisdom that you just shared about us all being equal, all this, that, and the other, you're right. There are some things, some people are way better at certain things than others. Like you having to show me how to use Zoom here. I had no idea. But you didn't take that opportunity to lord over me with that. You just were like, oh, well, it was showed to me, so blah, 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 I'll show you.
I don't see why I would when I was in the same position as you and someone took the kindness to show me. You see, that's the thing, though. It's just sharing and passing these kinds of knowledge, not necessarily Zoom, but, with other things as well. But, it's just, why would you hold that over somebody? Just share the knowledge and empower each other, if on a totally, bigger subject, but it's like if all barriers were broken down, if all boundaries, if all borders, if all religious boundaries, political boundaries were broken down, if we as a human race could come together and share our knowledge without worrying about who can hold whatever, the other person, what we could accomplish is truly beyond anything we can begin to imagine. Our potential is limitless. And I wrote in the book of Smokeless Fire, I said that that makes me mad in both senses of the word. It makes me angry, and it also makes me crazy, because it's sad to see the potential of all of us being restrained by restraints we ourselves put on us as a species. it's a shame, you know, and I hope, you know, eventually that this will be broken, that we will become free. From the Ashes Publishing is a tiny, tiny little spark, you know, in the darkness that hopes to ignite the world, essentially, so that will catch on, and we can be free. But, you know, I think we have a lot of work to go to be able to do that.
Yeah. Well, like the phoenix, which is what I always thought every time I saw that from the ashes, and I kept thinking
Yes.
it reignites that inner spark. And so, you know,
Refuse to lay down, refuse to give up, refuse to be defeated. Again, that is the rebellion that you speak of. That is at the heart of this, the rebellion to surrender to oppression, and to be free, to be able to love and learn without restraint or abuse.
you know, fight against the dying of the light. And I'm just going to live that just like that, just the way it is, because it's perfect. And if people want to nitpick it, let them. But those with wisdom actually know that for what that is. But, brother, we are getting close to that time. And I will say this right here. For my audience out there, if you haven't checked out From the Ashes Publishing, please do so. This group is amazing. They're astounding, and they're wonderful people, friendly and easy to work with. They're talented, they're knowledgeable, and they're capable. And if you would check out S Ben Qayin, the Brotherhood of Cain on Facebook, From the Ashes Publishing online, and I will provide links for all that afterwards. You know, subscribe to his mailing list. Check out some of his services because they're really awesome, you know, and if not just his.
Hey, we got a YouTube channel.
Oh, channel. Oh, I'm so glad you pointed that out. Thank you for reminding me. I love that you do that. And brother, it has been a pleasure and an honor to have you here. If you'd like to say any final words before we close this out.
You know, basically just if you guys are doing that stuff out there, you're doing your own projects, you're writing your own works, you're creating your own art, you're doing whatever it is, keep doing it. Don't let people stop you. You know, the thing is you're going to get a lot of people to come against you, but you get a lot of people that are going to support you as well. We talked about strength and putting one foot in front of the other and keeping going. Just keep doing that. You'll get there. So it's that strength and that will.
Yes, they will. And all of you, peace, blessings, and power. Till next time.